Oh, hey! Happy 420! Oh, yeah. Well, I smoke weed every day.
Non-compliant. Smoking in the hallway. Non-compliant.
My friends, 420 is upon us. And since last year's attempt at celebrating was slightly affected by something called COVID, it makes this one feel like it's got to be extra special. Now, 420 is a well-known holiday for a lot of cannabis enthusiasts. Some even call it Marijuana Christmas. But by any other name, the 20th of April is a celebration of the amazing marijuana plant. However, before the medical program, the direct celebration of marijuana was illegal, right? Whether it's 420 or not. And that means that most of us who have had a relationship to this plant for longer than just 2018 have probably depended on more traditional ways to consume, right? And enjoy the medicine. But we know that not all of those classic techniques are recognized as legal by the DOH. So, to help prepare for the best possible celebration of our holiday, we wanted to go over the many compliant options that you have so you can legally consume your cannabis. Now, first, we're going to go over some of the things that we have for sale in the dispensary, but then we're going to take a look at the range of the more custom and artisanal options that you have, including an amazing look at some of the elite devices in our market. And that way we can figure out what makes these things different and a couple of things that makes these the same. So I am Scott Goddard, and this is the Daily Dose provided by TerraVida. And today, we're going to climb the marijuana mountain to a compliant 420. Welcome once again, friends, and I hope you are ready for an exciting 420 celebration. Now, if you like what you see here, please consider subscribing because I am very excited that we were able to get such a team of devices together today. A table filled with a literal variety of almost every style option you can use to consume your medical marijuana. Now, as we try to wrangle everything we could, we know that not everything may be available immediately, so bear with us as we go through these to make sure you can tell what you might get in the dispensary and what you may have to look for online. Now, honestly, when most people think about upgrading, the price of vaporizers, the price of rigs, really does seem to get in the way, right? If you're shy about cost, a lot of these things do fall commonly in the hundreds of dollars range. And so, most of us, I think, traditionally are used to something maybe glass, and that cost less than $50 for our consumption back in the day. So really, there's two big questions we want to answer. First thing, how much of these can you get in a TerraVida and what do they cost? How do they work? But the second big one, I think, is it worth upgrading your methods, right? Is it worth the cost? And so we'll go through a couple of pros and cons and such. And I'll have my cameraman Tim help us rate a couple of the devices we brought along so you can see kind of how they fall into the people who own them themselves. So with that being said, we're going to kick off with some of the things that you've probably noticed in a TerraVida already, some of the real basic options and the easy ones, because first, you want a compliant 420? Vaporizer pens are the classic way. We have them in like a pen style battery. You may have even heard of things like Zadot, right? And this is going to be an auto draw system with a 0.5 gram sort of cartridge magnetically attaches. So two sort of different ways to approach vaporizing cartridges with TerraVida. This one, of course, is going to have sort of a variable heat option at the bottom. And I think we have a $10 and what is a $25 option for these. So nothing too crazy there. Most of you probably have run into these already. But I don't know if you've seen this one. It's called the Key battery that's out there and about. This one runs about $35 for it. But the nice thing is it has an included charger. So you don't have to worry about it rolling off into oblivion for you. Now, the pens are a lot of ways people get into vaporizing to start. But the next upgrade really are sort of the handheld vaporizer devices for either concentrates or dry leaf, right? And those are kind of the two biggest questions. How do I consume these otherwise ignitable products compliantly? Well, one of the easy ways in, and this is a flower vaporizer running $70 in the dispensary, is the APX Pulsar. Now this has kind of a cool wood grain facade on it for those of you who like sort of a natural look. But thankfully, as we go through some of these devices, you're going to see a very common feature to them. One, You turn it on with 5 clicks usually on a button, and a lot of these under the mouthpiece you're going to find sort of a ceramic chamber. Now these are devices you'll see commonly up on our media being spun around so you can see all the functionality. The APX Pulsar for flower, you're going to have 4 different temperatures and a $70 price point. So this is probably the most reasonable way to get into vaporizing flower in our dispensaries currently. Now the nice thing about anything you buy in a dispensary proper is no tax and no shipping, and that's going to save you quite a bit, especially as we upgrade to the more expensive products here. Now if the APX is for flower specifically, then we're going to go over to the mobile concentrate side, what some people call mobile dabbers, and for that specifically we have things like the puffco, but first we'll take a visit over to the Clout DL1. Now this, my friends, is a mobile dabber, as we like to call it. You turn it on with a quick confirmation flash, and under the mouthpiece we have what feels like kind of a science project amount of parts to it. Now these run 65, so a little cheaper than the Pulsar, but they give you a chamber to load, which is ceramic lined with quartz. And this is really going to be where your medicine goes. It's a cold load start, but the nice thing about devices like this is they give you 2 chambers. So that way you can technically have the one you're using and one ready right behind it. For those who sort of like what lab equipment, customizability, the DL1, some assembly required. But this you can find in our dispensaries currently. The other side of mobile dabbing is the puffcos you see in front of me here. We have one in noir and one in like a rainbow look. Now this they call the Mystique, if I'm correct?
The Vision.
The Vision, the mysterious Vision. And this is going to run $10 more at a $100 price point, whereas the slick black one is only going to run $90. And inside of here we have a mouthpiece with a little hidden tool in it to grab your dabs without needing an extra piece. And then much like everything, we have a ceramic chamber that's easy to load cold for a lot of this. Now for those of you who like the DL1 or might be interested in one of these Puffco Pluses, the nice thing too is if you're not using concentrates, you just have some carts on you, the bases still have a 510 threaded top to them, so you can technically still use cartridges with this battery. It's one word of advice to everybody. It is a thicky battery. It's got a lot of power to it. Just make sure you turn it to the lowest heat if you're using cartridges for that. But these are great because you can charge them, you don't have to worry about having a torch, and they fit into your little leather part of your vest. So an easy way to get your dabbing done without having to sit down. Now those are what we offer for concentrates between the Clout and the Puffco. And of course for dry flower we have the APX in dispensary. And right now that is what the DOH allows us to sell. So those are the things that you're going to be able to get without tax and without shipping. But that isn't to say that's all that's available, right? We can see they're pretty basic and rather functional for that sake, nice and affordable. So then we step up one level to a little bit more of a serious investment of money and time. And we're going to start off on the flower side once again. The Boundless CFX vape. Now Boundless makes quite a few parts to their lineup. I think there's something called the Brute and the Mighty, which are well known. This CFX it's mobile, but I would say most people will notice you have it. And they say you got a 360-degree swivel mouthpiece if that entertains you. Just like a lot of other things, ceramic chamber, 5 clicks to turn it on, just like most batteries. And with this, we actually have a really nice digital readout you can see there, just letting you know exactly what the temperature will be. So this is a very user-friendly one, easy on the eyes, heats up pretty quick. I think we are just about a temp right there. It's about 12 or 15 second warm-up, so very friendly for the flower heads out there. And I believe this runs somewhere in like the 160, 180 price point you could find online with some tax and shipping, of course. Now the thing you'll notice with a lot of these, they are rechargeable, easy to clean, easy to use, and they kind of hide in plain sight, which is rather nice too. So if the Boundless is there, just a little under $200 price point, well, you'll see in this main area a very familiar look for some of you, the PAX series of vaporizers. And they are kind of like the, I think technically like the iPhone of our market. They're very clean design, very California, cool for it. And with these, you get different colors you can use. This is actually my personal first generation PAX, and this is the 3rd gen, so you can see they've stuck to a pretty solid design feature for it. These load from the bottom, whereas the APX load from the top, so you have a little chamber down there you can load with magnets to help everything assemble easily. And with these, if I'm correct, 1 click is all you need, and you just wait for the flower to turn green. It only takes a couple of seconds, but the nice thing about this, some things I can't show you as directly, there is an app for this actually. It's got Wi-Fi capabilities, a very modern device. You can actually have the temperature readout on your phone, and you can select different types of oven heating profiles to it. I think there's actually like 2 or 3 games you can play with it and interact. So, once you get your medicine in you, you can do a couple things for fun. And if you ever want to know how much battery's left, you just shake it. Strangely enough, looks like we got a full charge today. So the PAX series, very clean design. A lot of people like it for that, and fits right in your pocket. But these, however, whereas the APX is an affordable, $70, you're looking at $250 for this series of device. You can, of course, find some of the early ones. The Gen 1's a little beat up for it, and they usually run maybe $100 instead for the Gen 1 or 2. But the one big thing about the Gen 3 is it does concentrates. So keep that in mind. You don't have to have 2 different pens for your flower and your dabs. You can actually do it all in one system. It's kind of why the price point starts to graduate up on us pretty quickly. So that takes care of a lot of what we would consider sort of the mobile pocket dabbers for it, and of course some flower vapes as well. But that really brings us to what would be kind of the uppermost crust of rechargeable or electronic vaporizers. And those are the 2 front and center you see here. We have the Focus 5 Magna Carta and the Puffco the Puffco Peak. Now Puffco actually does have one above this called the Peak Pro or the Puffco Pro, which we don't have here, but it is this plus quite a number of really amazing features. Wi-Fi things, temperature readout things, better chambers. So we know they're always working on improving these. In case you're interested in these devices, I'd say check up online. You can see their newer one as well as the original Peak. And the Magna Carta, you can see very similar designs, right? We have a little water chamber here. This would be it without water in it. You have a ceramic chamber you'll see in there with some reclaim, so that's where you do your cold load. And then usually you hit the side and there's a little color there for different temperatures. For this one, I think we do the 5 clicks like most vape pens. Honestly, this would be a heck of a 420 to double fist right now. So keep it in mind. We have, I think, a price point around $300 on the Puffco and $250 on the Magna Carta. And these would be the upgrade, right? We have sort of those pocket dabbers with the plus, right, and the APX. And then we also have now sort of more of a table situation. Very, very holdable, but usually something you want to sit down for if you can. And so that takes care of what is the rechargeable, relatively affordable, somewhat mobile units there. And as far as we know, if you have any interest in them and you want to see them in a dispensary, just let the DOH know your interest. It's something that we really want to provide to exactly what you're looking for. And that really brings us to what I would say is the Elite series, right? The very, very top of the mountain. The table rigs as we have left and right here, as well as on the frames, the bag vaporization systems. These, my friends, are the most expensive ones they make. We wanted to make sure you could see the full range of possibilities here. So to start off, we have a design which is classic. I would say if you know anything about glass, you may have recognized the style of this piece. Let me make sure I pronounce everything correctly, as it is truly an artisanal approach. This is a signature Andrew Serto rig, and he is actually a Philadelphia blower. If you are in a circle he is known, then he is quite well known, as we say. Something like this, with all the design and the quartz banger on there, you're going to be looking at somewhere between $600 and $800 for something this gorgeous and optically clear. And this is going to be a table rig, the way a lot of you concentrate users or dab heads out there have already been familiar with consuming your concentrated medicine. Now, if that's the more stylistic side, and I wouldn't say it's any less stylistic, but over here we have what is called a recycler rig. And this is actually made by Evan Shore. They are a local company as well, actually right at Huntington Valley, if I'm correct. They call this the recycler rig, and this is going to use a dual system to it, if you see the action. Just a lovely way to be able to consume your medicine. Now, we're looking at something here that is actually technically a collector's piece. That's why you're looking closer to $1,000. This you can use every day, but still is worth keeping nice. $300 to $400 seems to be where we're at with a lot of these rigs. But the thing you do have to know, if you don't know your rigs, is usually you'll have to have at least some sort of cap for the banger to be able to hold the air down in there. And so everything seems to get very much more bespoke. Think of it like grilling in a way, right? You want to have the specialized tools, the specialized equipment, and that way you can really make the medicine behave the way you prefer it. If you like it hot, you like it a little colder, you like a little more, a little less, these are going to give you every customizable option. Only thing we don't have here is a dab torch. And believe me, many options exist for that. I think BT Blazer is a good way to go for anybody out there who needs a good recommendation. And that brings us to our finale. What is the top shelf of flower vaporizers here? Now, some of you may have already recognized the Metal Mountain by Storz & Bickel. This is the Volcano Digital. So this is their top of the price point. Tim, how much does this run new? Do you know?
Probably like between $5 and $6.50, $7, depending on where you shop.
Yeah, you're going to be spending significant money on this. Check your paycheck. And this, of course, if you get it, you're going to have to think taxes and shipping until we're able to sell them in dispensaries. This is a well-known top of the market. Since the late 90s, they've been around, really helping out medical marijuana users everywhere. And on the other side, I have actually one of my personal contributions to the day. We have the Herbalizer, which is literally a volcano, just in a smaller, more iPhone-like sort of container. These are the sorts of things that use a little bit of a fan. So you'll see as we go here, you might hear a little noise. A bag blow up ever so lightly from a fan underneath, which is helping it go up. These are why they cost so much. You have a little fan, some heating elements, and thus they become very technical. They both have computers in them as well. So we're paying really for the quality of that medicine going. What do we hit on here, Tim, for this to go? Green?
Yes.
Green is go for it. So as you see these blow up now, you can see the full range of what we offer in the world of medicine and a couple of things we offer in the world of Terra Vita. And this should help you understand exactly what a compliant 420 may look like. So be sure, in case you like this sort of thing, to like, share, and subscribe. Let anybody else who might benefit from this information take a good look at it. Until next time, this is Scott Goddard from the Daily Dose Desk, hoping you all have a safe and compliant 420. And if there's anything else you'd like to know, hit us up soon. Until next time, get medicated. Happy 420, everybody.